apologize. I noticed in the last video I was a little sniffly, and I probably will be in this one too. I apologize for that. I'm still on the back end of this cold that I picked up a week or so ago. But it's a nice, cool, damp morning here in the Belgrade Forest. And I just wanted to do an update on my preparation, some of the lessons learned. Later in the video, I'll do a couple of gear tests just to show you where I'm at with some of the product that I'd shown you a couple of episodes ago. Of course, the last two have really been focused on my tribute to Dr. Gelman and on the charity at the Cancer Research Institute. So I thought it was time to put something out that got me back to where we are in preparation. First thing I'll point out is that the temperature here has dropped, significantly. And so as a consequence, I went to this Wool-X merino wool base layer, and I've worn it now. I think this is the 5th hike. Haven't washed it. Well, I washed it, just took it out of the package, but haven't washed it since. No stink and no pilling or anything along the shoulders, so no signs of wear. So thus far, real happy with it. It's definitely warm, which brings me to this. So this is a Patagonia vest, little puffy coat, and I put it on because getting out of the car, it seemed kind of chilly, but that was a mistake. And I apologize, I can't remember which one of the class of 17 vloggers was out there, but he had mentioned that he does the 30-minute test. When he gets up and starts moving, he keeps his clothes down to what's reasonable, but to a minimum. And then if he's cold after 30 minutes of hiking, he'll put more on. But he'll give himself that 30 minutes. 2 times now, I've made that mistake and put the puffy vest on before, and both times I started to sweat, which is what I'm doing right now. So for those of you who haven't learned that lesson, it might be worthwhile, is to give yourself 30 minutes of activity before you start putting on outer layers that you may find are only going to make you too hot. In a little bit, I'll stop and test out the putting up a bear bag. I want to try the PCT version, try it out, test it out, and see how it goes. An update on me physically. As you well know, I'd had sort of the chest spasms from using the poles incorrectly. Then I had the back issue with the 2 herniated discs in my lower back. Very quick fix to the chest spasms simply by adjusting the distribution of weight that I'm putting on my chest and my legs, and not overexerting my chest until it's ready to sort of accept that new movement. So I've had no issues since. And I have to give a shout out to Pinar Tashkin and the staff, physical therapy staff over at Acıbadem Maslak. When I found out I had the 2 herniated discs from the neurosurgeon, and he said, we'll give you a physical therapy regime I went down to Pinar and her guys, and they've done a great job. Had no pain. I'm managing a lot better with stretching and with the exercises. You know, I also give credit to the Osprey Exos pack because of its rigidity, but also its adjustability that can keep my back in proper alignment. So physically, definitely getting stronger. Okay, I'm going to do the bear bag, hanging PCT style. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you that I always use an accountability site. In this instance, it's a stump. Anything that I take off during any stop, long or short term, goes onto that stump. That site I always put so that it is in the between me and the direction of travel, so that, you know, I obviously can't walk by it, because sometimes it's just a single item that I may place on there, and other times it's more. I will go to a voiceover for the hanging of the bag since I won't be right near the phone. Make it a little bit better. Hey guys, just had an awesome experience. So as I told you, I was going to put up the bear bag, and so I went to practice and to do that. You saw all the things that I had down on my little accountability spot. Well, you can see it started to rain, and I mean really rain. And so I came over and just grabbed my poncho, put my poncho on. You know, I had my puffy coat on, right? Don't want that to get wet. So I was able to come over, just put my poncho on. Now I'm dry. So now I can relax and I can gather up all my things, which I did, from my accountability stump here. See, the poles are still there. Pack up my bag while I've got the front of my poncho over the top of it. Now I've got the poncho on and I need to get the bag on. I can simply grab the back of the poncho, flip it up over my head, put my bag over my shoulders. Then I simply take the poncho, put it back over the bag. Now my bag's dry. So now I can cinch it up, put it on, do all that under the cover of my poncho, and be ready to go. I now got my accountability location. I'm going to clear it up. Then I'm going to keep hiking. So I'll get back to you about the bear bag. Sorry guys. All right, talk to you a bit. Guys, I'm seriously jazzed right now. This is a real rain, a good AT rain, and I'm dry. Well, I'm not really dry, but I'm a happy wet, let's put it that way. The poncho comes down to just about the lower part of my calf. I do wish that I had my gaiters on because, of course, the water's just soaking into my socks. Everything else is, relatively dry. I'm maintaining a good amount of heat under the poncho, capturing it, so I'm warm. So like I said, I'm sort of a happy wet. And, I know that my pack is not getting wet, any more wet. I'll tell you that while I had it there on the ground, didn't put it under cover at the very beginning, it soaked up some water. I can actually feel the extra weight. I think this is where the Dyneema fabric probably shines above the sil nylon, because the sil nylon, even though the water isn't penetrating it, it does seem to sort of capture or absorb it. And the truth of the matter is probably in the padding of the shoulders and the waist belt. But I'll find that out once I stop hiking, and I'll let you know how that goes. But again, this makes me feel like the AT. I can see this. I am comfortable, easily continue to hike in this. Good test. This is workable. So anyway, I will get back to you, but I did want to sort of provide that update of how I'm feeling specifically right now while in it. Back to the car. Different pooch today. Okay, guys. The audio quality is really poor in this section, so I'll just let you know what I was saying in my wrap-up and lessons learned from the rain event. In short, the poncho was really efficient. It was quick to put on, provided really good coverage. As I had mentioned originally, there's a cinch strap at the waist. That really trapped air into my upper body and kept me quite warm. In fact, with a little bit of exertion, I noticed that I was sort of starting to overheat and sweat again, so I had to loosen that cinch strap up. The other thing just as notable is that with the wide brim hat, it was pouring water down into the hood that, of course, I wasn't wearing, and it was just dangling back there. And so I had to flip the hood inside out just to let the water flow around it. The other piece of gear that I wanted to talk about, or did talk about, was were the Vask Mantra 2s. I've mentioned them before. The short of it is that they get very slick when it gets wet out. They did again on this occasion. In addition to that, they absorbed huge amounts of water, so they were really wet and very heavy from this event. So again, I guess it just furthers my point that I'd made previously, that they are completely unsuitable for a hiking situation. You may wonder why I wasn't actually in the Innovate 325s that I had showed you previously. The reason is because I had gotten a size 10, which is one size larger than I normally wear, but that my toes were right up against the toe box. And so I had to go and order a size 11. So if you're looking at the 325s, I'm literally having to get 2 sizes larger than what I normally wear. So then wrapping it up, basically I said, okay, since we're talking about, the rain event and wet gear, I'll take you back to my place and do a gear review on the Sil Nylon Sak Gear bags that I had gotten for Elle. And what I did was a dunk test on those. So we'll go back there now, and I'll just give you a rundown of what's going on with those. Talk to you soon. Bye. These are Sak Gear bags that I had purchased for Elle. And today, what I'm going to do real quick, I was just about to go out and do a hike, and I thought, well, I want to test out the bags. So I'm just going to take each one of the bags. I'm going to take a tissue, put it in each one of the bags so that I can determine very quickly whether there was any water intrusion into the bag. Then I'm just going to take the bags and I'm going to do a dunk test in the sink. The other thing I did, just to let you know, so it said roll the bag at least 3 times. So I did 3 times for the dunk test, and so I will do that now. So I see some bubbles, I don't know if you can see them, some bubbles coming out from one side of the enclosure, from this area right here on the bag. As I dunk it a second time, we'll see. It could be air trapped in the seams of where I rolled it over, or it could actually be penetrating into the bag. Okay guys, so the only thing I did was unbuckle the clasp for the bag. And now I'm going to unroll it. Going into the bag itself. Does not feel wet to the touch. And I don't know if you can see that, but there is a little bit of moisture that has come in. Very slight moisture, basically 3 drops, 1, 2, and then in the corner here. So if there was any intrusion, it would have been from where the bag was rolled up. This is not very scientific, so it's possible that that water came in when I unrolled the bag. That's obviously a possibility. I didn't intend to show you the results of each one of the tests, but this bag, which is the 10-liter bag, had what appears to be, we'll see when I open it up, but what appears to be sort of a catastrophic failure. So I'm going to take you down and let you look at the bag as I dunk it. And it is getting air coming out of, closest to you is the top of the bag where the latch, and those bubbles are consistent with what I got from the other one, which appears to be maybe from the rolled top. However, if we take a look to the back, hopefully you can see the bubbles coming from the back. Those bubbles coming from the back are actually coming from the taped seam on the bottom of the bag. So when I open this one up, I'm expecting to have a much more significant issue with water intrusion. Okay, this time I actually wiped the outside of the bag off so that I wouldn't have a false positive on intrusion of water, because you saw how minimal it was with the last bag. But this one, so I wiped it off, and then what we'll do is just unroll it. You can still see that there was water along that seam there, so there's definitely air that's trapped in there, and then water seeps in. That could well be that the air we're seeing from the top of the bag, like we saw in the first one, is as a consequence of just air being trapped in those rolls. But reach in. I'm going to pull it out, and interesting. I seem to have no water inside the bag, which is odd. Where was the air coming from along the bottom seam? I really expected to have, like I said to you, a catastrophic failure. So I guess you don't know till you open it up, right? Interesting. Okay, so I'll do the third one, and if that was just good, then I'll just give you the results of all three. Okay, guys. So at the conclusion of the test, and I did run another test on the 5-liter bag over here, because when I did the 20, I had no intrusion of water. As you saw with the 10, it ended up being no intrusion of water. So I retested the 5, and I think those, even as minor as it was, I believe that those 3 small spots of water I had probably brought in when I opened the bag up and stuck my hand through. So they tested successfully. The other piece of this, just give you a couple points. Okay, I really do, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I like this clasping system that's at the top. I like the fact that they include the little bags to be used as sort of the rock bag for when you're hanging it. They included it in the 20 and in the 5, but not in the 10 for some reason. But that was a nice added feature to it. The material itself, of course, is sil nylon. I think if you're comparing it with like Z-Packs or something, Z-Packs is probably a little bit more durable. This is a really super light sil nylon. So I'll let you know later on as it goes about how durable it is. But I think they'll be fine. But I may have to take a little bit more care with them than I would with a little thicker material. So I'll let you know. So anyway, that's where it stands with the bag. So that wasn't a bad test for those 3.